Hey everyone, today I'm joined by Tyson Swatsky and David Pritchett from the NHL gameplay team. Today we're going to cover some commonly asked questions regarding gameplay, starting with a hot topic from NHL 25, the LT. How has that changed in NHL 26?
Yeah, for the LT, or vision control, we didn't want this massive global change that impacted vision control across the board. We really wanted to focus on the abuse cases that we saw, so people using it on every zone entry. Things that we wanted to do to address that was, for left trigger in general, we have a speed cap on it and a speed penalty, so that if you are choosing to use it north, just up ice endlessly off the rush, that it isn't as effective as just skating normally. So that was one of the key pieces we wanted to address. The other piece was using the pivot override mechanic, so where you can use the right stick and pick which way you want to pivot. People were spamming this down the ice, and we wanted to add a consecutive penalty there, so that if you do it once, you're still rewarded for good timing, but the more you use it, the more you'll get more friction applied to you and slow down. To address the hip checking feedback, we really wanted to get rid of using it as a forechecking tool. That was the main factor. So the main adjustment that we did was we're taking and factoring in the power and the outcome of the hit based off of how much the player needs to turn. When you're using it on the forecheck, skating forward, spinning 180, you'll get penalized power-wise quite a bit. That allows us to keep the power for situations where you're back skating and angling players off to deliver hip checks and keep that strong.
Yeah, I agree, Ty, and I also think that the game looks a lot more like real hockey now. It was being abused so often that the game just stopped kind of looking like real hockey. So by toning these things down and making them less effective in certain situations, the game now starts to feel a lot more like real hockey, and of course look like real hockey too.
For addressing reverse hitting, the main feedback was just the invulnerability and how easily you could skate through other players no matter the size difference. So for reverse hitters, this time around we'll be able to have players stumble who are doing the reverse hit and absorb some of the contact, but not just cleanly skate through the player as easily as before. Similar factors determine like height and weight, the relative speed of the players, the ratings, the timing. It's just not going to be as easy to breeze through as previously.
The feedback that we got from the community, kind of boils down to there just being too many of them. I think there was around 70 X Factors originally. As a result, what happened there is that they just kind of felt watered down. It wasn't super clear what a given X Factor did or whether it did anything at all, and they certainly weren't all balanced. Like there were some that were clearly more impactful to our users, like Elite Edges or Wheels, than others, right? So the first thing that we did was we kind of distilled this down to the 28 most important X Factors that we felt would provide the most impact, and we wanted to make sure that all 28 of these were viable. None of them would kind of be left on the sidelines, and I think we achieved that. In addition to that, the other point that I want to make here is we've definitely simplified kind of the activation scenarios in the game. It's much more clear to the user through things like the UI that we use when an X Factor is triggering, so that you can learn how these things actually trigger in the game and how your opponent teams are equipped so that you can learn how to defend against them better. It's going to be much more obvious when these X Factors are triggering in the game, and that's super important. Like we're using our indicators now to actually communicate what X Factor is triggering versus kind of a generic icon, but also we have animations that are very specific to a lot of these X Factors as well, which kind of just show you through the body language of the various players that, oh, you're doing something kind of unique and special here. And this is super helpful not only to be able to see in the moment when a given X Factor is triggering, but also to be able to learn how your opponents are equipped and how they're utilizing these X Factors so you can learn how to defend against them.
With the new X Factors, we also wanted to make sure that we still have a variety of X Factors for different player types as well. So power forwards get their abilities, playmakers, snipers, defensive and offensive defensemen still have tools available to them, and then goaltenders, of course, as well.
Player separation was another big piece of feedback we were hearing from the community. And one thing I want to touch on here is that we're using NHL EDGE data this year for the very first time. And what the NHL EDGE data is data that's collected from the players during every single NHL game using these infrared cameras and these trackers that they have on their jerseys. And we now have access to that data. We are able to look at pieces of data for every single player in the game, like shot speed, where they are on the ice, and most importantly, as kind of pertains pertains to separation, their acceleration and their skating speed as well. So when you have a player like Connor McDavid, he's now obviously different than a player like, Ryan Reeves or somebody like that. No shade intended. Ryan Reeves has a different set of skills, but you know where I'm coming from. So NHL EDGE data is something that we're really excited about. It kind of affects a huge part of the game, but definitely it pertains especially to player separation.
To address the concerns around goalies getting stuck and locked into saves, we allow goalies now to make saves out of saves and branching into more reactions out of those cases. We added in a new reflex style save to help in tight shots. That was one main problem with the goalie, not being able to react to shots in tight. So we are able to get out in front of the puck more preemptively in cases and really jam against the post with new jam saves as well. In addition to that, we added a lot more in our 80+ animations that we added this year for goalies, more reactions and just more behaviors to pucks just on net or going in the net, reactions to getting scored on. That makes goalies much more aware of what's going on the ice and makes it much more believable.
If I can just say, I remember the moment when Carson, we were all kind of sitting around his desk and he had this kind of new tech to show off about the saves being made out of saves, and there was a shot on net, a slap shot from the point. There was a high tip right in front of the net, and the goaltender originally thought that he was going to have to make a glove save, and the puck went low after the tip, and he kind of kicked out his left leg to make the save, and we all were just like, okay, this is a trailer moment. This changes the game for us. Obviously, one of the big pieces of feedback that we get from the community every single year is how do we make our game play more like the real thing? How do we make the players on the ice feel more like their respective real-world counterparts? We've already talked about the EDGE data a little bit, but do you want to talk about, Ty, the attributes, the tendencies?
Yeah, for tendencies, we basically look at players' archetype, their X factors, and their attributes, and weigh in tendencies and their player behaviors based off of those three things. So you'll see players who are more physical, lay the body more, players who are more stick check oriented, really look to deliver stick checks off the rush and kind of angle players out, really trying to nail a lot of the player specific differentiation. So you'll see players like Makar kind of take the puck to the middle off of face off with their elite edges looking for shots on net. You'll see Draisaitl down low looking for the sharp angle shots, Ovechkin with one-timer in their particular top circles area, but really trying to deliver both authenticity and have the players utilize their skill sets and strengths.
Thanks for that, guys. I'm excited to see how all these changes come to life in NHL 26. We're just a few days away. Any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been providing kind of the feedback. We are absolutely listening, and we know that there's still a lot that we weren't able to answer right yet, but we are listening to everything. So really appreciate all of the feedback. Keep the conversation going, and we're going to see you September 5th.